I was pretty close to the car. It was burning. There's nobody really around. Everyone's like far out. And then this dude came to me like, fucking run.
I find your lack of how disturbing.
My name is Darth.
Whiskey.
That's the stupidest name I've ever heard.
Welcome back, Dum Dum.
The dojo is real?
Down, down, down.
Hello there. Welcome to Dum Dum Dojo. I'm your host, Darth Whiskey, and thank you again for joining me. It's been a while since you've heard from me in this form, in podcast medium, and for that I apologize. And instead of offering a long-winded explanation as to what I've been up to these past couple months, let's just say that sometimes life happens and things occur, which we got to deal with. And, God willing, universe willing, Loki willing, we find the strength and the fortitude to wake up and fight another day. So sending love, sending happiness and health and wellness to you, wherever it is that you're watching from. As of the recording of this introduction, my home state of California is mostly reopened. So it seems like we're kind of getting back to a regular life here. So I encourage you, get out there and hug some motherfuckers. My hair is wet. So let's use the magic of video editing and our imaginations to fix that. And to pretend like the entire rest of this conversation wasn't recorded and edited and finished like 6 months ago, and I've just been sitting on it for reasons. Raz and I hung out last week. We got Korean barbecue, and then we went out to a bar and danced to some 90s hits, and it was really cool seeing people sweat on each other again. That was nice. What the fuck is that? Hello there. Welcome to Dum Dum Dojo. I'm your host, Darth Whiskey. Thank you again for joining me. Hopefully at this point, you've heard me say it enough times that if you're just listening to the audio-only version of this, instead of watching the full video version on YouTube, you're missing out on all the fun visual shit that I bust my ass on adding into this podcast. And to further illustrate that point, here's something that only the people watching on YouTube are gonna get to see. Everybody else, go fuck yourselves. I have no idea what I'm gonna put here. But I'm posing like I know what I'm gonna put here. I've mentioned this in every episode, including this one. But for me, the past few months has been kind of this back and forth between feeling really energized and enthusiastic and creative and feeling hopelessly unmotivated and cynical and depressed as fuck. And so it's these kinds of conversations and more that we get into this episode with my good friend and fellow Southeast Asian guitar playing heartthrob, Mr. Raz Azraai. I hope I say your last name right, bro. I'm so sorry. Raz is a bad motherfucker. Here's proof. I saw Raz post a clip of that solo on Instagram years ago, and I'd saved it into my folder of stuff to slow down and learn how to play and steal. But I never could quite figure out how to do those super fast, super smooth legato runs, or those they're like groups of 6, groups of 7, whatever that super fast, super dope shit is. Raz is amazing. And years later, when he collaborated with a friend of mine named Charlie, not that Charlie, a different Charlie, slightly whiter than that, that's the Charlie, and together with producer and songwriter Jarvis Anderson, the three boys formed a band called Meen Streets, which is this tidal wave of fun, modern synth pop that I can only describe as sounding the way Neon looks. And then the J.R. Smith face is going to fade in gently, and then it's going to fade out gently. Beautiful. They also kind of look the way Neon looks, and as a unique vehicle for promoting their band's I really hate the vehicle pun. I wrote it as a placeholder, like knowing it's dog shit, thinking to myself, like, surely I'll come up with something better than unique vehicle. By the time I record the intro, I didn't. As a unique vehicle for promoting their band's performances, the boys in Meen Streets developed the Geo Metro Party, an unpredictable celebration of music and dance and fashion and personal expression. Imagine 500 of your weirdest friends and an actual 1991 Geo Metro crammed into a sweaty warehouse in the middle of downtown LA. It's 5 hours of lights and sounds and getting sexy to the best boy band hits of a better era, until Raz and the Meen Streets dudes hop on stage and shut it the fuck down. Not only is the Malaysian sensation himself a magnificent guitar player, but Raz is hilarious and he is infectiously optimistic. Without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen and metrosexuals of all sorts, welcome to the dojo. Ooh, I got a burp coming. Here we go.
Oh, I've been burping all day.
Oh, it's like I thought it was gonna be a false alarm, not a false alarm.
Burp.
Oh, and then I almost puked.
Burping.
The second one was solid vomit.
Give me like just 10 seconds. Burping.
Take your time, dude. We're chilling.
Burping is the new testing, okay?
Burping 1 2.
Burping 1 2.
Dude, thank you again for doing this with me, man. I'm so glad to finally get a chance to like actually have an extended conversation with you and get to know each other. And
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, man. How are you doing?
I'm good. I've always been very optimistic, very positive. I mean, growing up in Southeast Asia.
Oh, we're gonna get into all that. I'm so excited.
Right. Like, I mean, growing up in Southeast Asia, my dad, which is an ex-military, has always been like, just stay positive, just do you. Shit happens, just do you. Like, you know, it kind of built up the stoicness. So the first few months, I would say like the first 3-4 months, I was just doing great. I was like focusing on my music, writing, and then I started getting into this whole loop of like hating the fact that we can't hang, hating, start missing real life. It's been like a fucking loop. It's a weird loop of like, you feel okay, you don't feel okay, you feel okay, and you don't feel okay. And I mean, in the end of the day, I'm just grateful to have fucking internet.
Yeah.
Imagine if this is like 1901.
Oh, dude, I was talking to somebody else about this. If this were just like 20 years ago, I think shit would look so different. Like just the spread of information, good and bad information, would look vastly different. And our just ability to communicate with people, like what a fucking, I hate to use this jerk off word, but like blessing that it is that we can use Zoom and still like have a fucking conversation. And at the very least, if nothing else, have this kind of a connection to where it's like, cool, we don't feel like we're just going through this alone.
Right. It kind of shows that we're humans. Doesn't matter if you're creative or not. Like, we're kind of meant to sort of be outside and socialize.
Prior to like doing the episode, I'm handwriting notes of things, just bullet points that I can spy down here of things that I want to make sure that I mention. And then like as I was writing, I was like, I need to write smaller because there's a massive list of things that I want to bring up and like a gazillion places with which I feel this like this connection and this relation to you, dude. So let's start with the most important thing. If you were to try to encapsulate your sexual energy into large birds. If you had to describe your sexual energy in the form of a large bird, what do you think that would be?
I would say I'm an owl. Is owl a large bird?
Certain owls definitely have large wingspans. We're gonna put up. See, this is the fun thing too. Is now that I know how to edit video and shit, like there's probably right now, as we discussed, there's probably birds flying everywhere. There's probably like bird noises. There might be an Alfred Hitchcock cut moment like here.
Metrosexual could be defined as someone who is being sexual in the city. Very much consider myself a metrosexual.
You know, when you wake up in the morning and you always gotta jerk off before you start your day, with Geo Metro, you don't need to do that. Your sex life is covered.
Why an owl?
Yeah.
Owls are mysterious to me.
That is it. I think why I really like owl, I feel like there's a lot of things sometimes I don't even know about myself. And also another thing is like I'm such a night owl. Like I sleep at like 2-3 a.m.
Yes.
I try not to, but it is what it is. We're all guitar players. We're all creative. We love doing creative shit, and night is where we're alive.
I think I gotta be like an ostrich or a penguin or something like that. Something round that doesn't really fly. That's me. But see, I've been learning all sorts of things about penguins. Penguins do all sorts of weird sexual shit, dude. There's a lot of homosexual couples that raise infants together.
I love it.
Penguin homosexuality is a real thing, and I think it's beautiful.
I love that.
A beautiful example of co-parenting in nature. But then, like, I think penguin rape is also a thing.
Yeah, kind of like dolphins. The beautiful thing about dolphins is like they're like humans. They have sex for pleasure, but they fucking rape. I'm like, stop.
I found this out recently that like dolphins murder. Dolphins commit infanticide. If a dude dolphin sees a female dolphin with a baby, the dude dolphin will murder that baby so that the female dolphin will fuck it and make a baby.
Holy fuck.
Miserable. Just like, and then I think about like, yeah, top of the food chain, my ass. If we were just stuck in the ocean and we had to fend for ourselves against sharks and dolphins, we're not getting out of this.
Do you think there is, like, I've been watching some serial killer documentary. So I'm just wondering, like, as per dolphins, since dolphins are pretty much like humans, they fuck for pleasure. Do you think there is like a Charles Manson of Dolphin. Do you think among Dolphin's community there is like
a dolphin serial killer?
I didn't go to them, they came to me.
That dolphin is a serial killer, and that dolphin is Night Stalker, and that dolphin is a dictator Donald Trump bullshit dolphin. Like
China. Okay, dude. So before I get too far, let's go back to tell us a little about who you are and how we know each other, and how we met and all that good stuff.
Yeah, my name's Raz. I was born in Southeast Asia, pretty much not far away from you. I was born in Malaysia.
Dude.
Moved out here close to 10 years ago for music. You know, a lot of people in Southeast Asia is super like, oh, Western culture, pop culture.
Right.
Like, they prey on
idolize that stuff, yeah.
Idolize Western culture and pop culture. Not me. I'm like, oh my God, fucking Steve Vai is sick. Like,
yeah.
Like Kirk Hammett is sick. Disclaimer, we'll talk about that. Like a bunch of players would probably think that I suck for really liking Kirk Hammett, but I fucking love him. So it's always been about the guitar. My dad's a pilot, so we did fly to LA a few times for a vacation. And I've always been a fan of like, Berklee College of Music. And obviously that did not happen just because LA is way better. Who the fuck wants to be in Boston? I'm sorry.
I mean, no, let's go. Let's put it on the record. Being two LA kids, it's like, But first off, I mean, I hate the Boston Celtics more than I hate most things that are wrong in the world, like racism and poverty. I couldn't imagine being in Boston in the snow.
The weather, obviously, and also I applied for MI,
Nice
Musicians Institute.
Yep, I went there too.
What is that?
I went there too.
Oh yeah. What year did you went there?
I went from basically like the end of 2009 to like the end of 2010. So I don't think that we were there during the same time.
Definitely not. I went in 2012. I graduated early 2014.
Nice.
In Malaysia, there is a final exam called SPM. There is about like 8 or 9 subjects that you need to like learn. And the last 2 years of high school is really rough for me, that I was like, I don't think I cannot do this because I really, 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 really want to have time to play guitar.
Dude, that's awesome.
Like, I really want to have time to like practice. So I'm like, I have this weird tunnel vision thinking to where I'm like, eliminate problems.
Yeah.
Like my dad is a pilot, ex-military. He is a dude that is just like, if you encounter something you don't like, sit down and think what you don't like and eliminate problems. Right. So I'm like, holy fuck. I'm 16, turning 17. It's like I don't want to really like spend 8 hours studying, doing all my homeworks, and then missing out on my gigs, because there was also when I used to have my metal band in Malaysia, we were touring a lot, and then I was like, fuck, I really want to do music. So I have this like, I went into this tunnel vision and thinking, I start listing down, I have to study mathematics, physics, chemistry, all those like high school topics, right? I need to learn. And I start eliminating what the fuck I don't give a fuck about.
Yeah. Like
which one I don't give a fuck about. And I scored really well on my final like high school exam. I got 3 A's.
Okay.
And I got 3 fails.
Oh shit.
The teacher is like, wow, you focus on like 3 things, but you really don't give a fuck at all about
these other things. Yeah.
My parents was like, holy shit, I didn't know you were like doing that all this while. I thought you were like studying for everything. And I'm like, honestly, I just want to fucking play guitar. But also at the same time, I was like, my dad really wanted to push me to be a pilot, like him. So all of these subjects that is needed for me to be a pilot, I scored pretty well.
Okay.
So you see that tunnel vision. I'm like, okay, if anything, I want to be a pilot. I just study whatever needed to be a pilot, just so I have that extra time. I won't spend this bullshit extra time on shit that I don't give a fuck about. So I have this extra time to do music.
Right.
So my parents were they were very confused. Like, holy shit. Like, so you just did this on purpose? I'm like, yes, I did this on purpose. Just so I have time to do music still. Right. And it was like this, like music or pilot. And then obviously like the whole piloting thing didn't happen. It's I wouldn't say a sensitive topic.
Yeah.
It's those struggles, you know?
Yeah.
I was thinking, if I'm a pilot right now, I'll probably be like, fuck, I could have been in LA.
So there's a lot to dismantle here that I'm excited about. So like one of the things that I did write down here, like you were joking, we were joking around in the DMs. I don't know how we got on the subject, but we were talking about Asian dads versus American dads. American dads have more weapons, right? Like Asian dads, maybe nicer, certainly more strict and more studious. American dads have guns.
Right.
But one thing that I wanted to one thing that I wanted to bat back and forth with you is like, you had this notion of growing up in Southeast Asia. I mean, my parents are from Thailand. I was born here in Southern California, but my parents are both super conservative from Thailand, from Bangkok, essentially. Dad passed in 2007. Before he passed, he was a doctor. And
oh, dude, I'm sorry, man. I didn't notice.
It's been a while. You find it, but thank you. I love you. Appreciate it.
Yep.
But he was never like discouraging in terms of, hey, chase your dream. Before he passed, I don't think the notions of me going to MI after high school, like I wasn't thinking about being a professional necessarily. Wow. Growing up with Asian parents and like the expectation and the expectation of doing well and the responsibility that you have to your family and to your parents to do well and to achieve isn't something that's like exclusive to just Asian kids or like kids of immigrants, but like I feel it in a way that maybe some of my American friends can't relate to that. Like the idea of going off and forging your own path and I'm going to make something out of myself. It's not necessarily that Asian parents don't do that as much, but there is somewhat of an expectation of like, you can do what you want to do, but like, we better be cool with it, right? Like the parents got to kind of sign off on it, or even then it's like there's ways in which you live your life that they would probably be like if you weren't a rock and roller, they'd be fine with it. You know, had I gone to medical school and been a doctor like my dad, my family probably would have been slightly.
No matter how they 1000% support, we understand.
Yeah, and I'm cool with that.
I'm cool with that. Totally. Like the older I grow, the more I feel I really embrace my Southeast Asian culture, my Southeast Asian upbringing. 1000%. I'm getting more and more proud of that.
Yeah. I feel very much so. I identify as an American, right? Like my experience growing up was as an American. Sure. But my experience at home is 100% Thai, you know what I mean? And so those cultural frameworks and stuff kind of like superimpose themselves onto like American life, and I find myself growing up and even now having to balance those kind of two different cultural worlds and stuff.
I'm fucking jealous. Best of both worlds. You know, you still have like Southeast Asian feel at home, and then you live in LA, and that's fucking amazing.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's an experience that I'm old enough now to recognize and value in ways that I wasn't kind of when I was younger. Like I eventually want to get this entire arm, but I want to kind of finish it out and make it all Thai stuff. So, dude, what was contrast growing up in Malaysia with what your experience in LA has been like? I mean, obviously it's like completely different phases of your life, but like,
right.
I mean, like, what was your introduction to falling in love with? Okay, wait, hang on. Before I get to how you fell in love with guitar, you mentioned. I'm gonna have a motherfucker of a time trying to cut this into an order that makes sense. You did this to yourself. When you mentioned tunnel vision, I very much so am the same way. Like when I have a goal or a task, or like if it's something stupid and materialistic, like a guitar pedal, or like
dude, same,
or like a ring or some stupid like necklace.
You have to get that.
I can't really focus on other things until I figure out how I'm gonna go about getting that thing. Right, the thing that I'm hyper focused on.
Oh my god, we're the same human being.
There has to be some kind of a common thread. I'm convinced that like, in the same way that like a video game nerd can sit there with a controller and just do level after level.
Right.
That same thing is baked into who we are as most guitar players. I think of like, fuck, gotta do it again. Fuck, gotta do it again. Like, yep, that didn't
because we have that addictive personality. I mean,
it feels like I just keep trying to push a button to make myself feel happy.
Exactly. No, 1000%. A lot of guitar players they are introduced to the instrument at a very young age, right? So at a very young age, you are introduced to this goal aspect of living life, because you in your own world is like, oh my god, that set but true Metallica's riff is so fucking sick. How am I gonna play it? And like, you really want to be able to play that riff, but you couldn't, so you will force yourself to practice. The category of musicians are insane human beings, because
yeah.
we will fucking spend our life like blood, sweat, and tears, sit down 8 hours a day to figure out how to like encapsulate a riff, a lick,
right?
How to play something, how to create this sound, how to create something that other humans can't even touch.
How did you get introduced into like falling in love with guitar in the very beginning in Malaysia? Like, what was there like a move? Was it movies? Was it TV? Was it a band, an artist?
Well, I was playing tennis a lot when I was like 7 till the age of like 9.5.
Okay.
And my dad loves tennis, and also my dad is responsible for music because he loved blues so much.
Oh wow.
He loved Eric Clapton. Eric Clapton is like his god. So, and I remember after a while of playing tennis, and my coach was complaining to my dad, like every time before my turn to hit the ball, I was literally using the tennis racket as like to do air guitar.
Yes.
Like literally,
awesome.
I was literally like, oh, waiting to hit the ball, and I'm just like. Being a
awesome.
dumbass kid, you know, like not focusing. And then my dad started realizing that maybe I should give him music lesson. Whoa. So one day after one of those tennis lessons, he drove me to a music store, and I think the rest is kind of history, because he started realizing,
so cool.
Yeah, he started realizing that, oh yeah, I love air guitaring. Like that means my focus is somewhere else. So
what was your first guitar?
I started learning music on a classical guitar.
Wow, it's like a nylon string?
Yeah, nylon string.
Dude, okay, so I have a real bullshit theory about this. I've done zero research, but every guitar player that I've consulted with this has something to agree with me. I feel like if you learned how to play the instrument, like your very, very first experiences with it were on either a nylon string guitar or a Strat style guitar, as opposed to a Les Paul or anything chunkier and beefier. Different kinds of players, and the dudes in that first school end up better players. Like the touch is better, because what's required to make a nylon string classical string guitar sing
way harder,
way fucking harder.
Yeah,
you can't do a big strum or like there's no sustain on.
There's no sustain, nothing.
So to make sounds happen out of it that are pleasing, you got to learn how to do it right and properly and with the right technique to get it to make the sounds you want it to.
I absolutely agree. I wouldn't say necessarily a better guitar player, but I think the guitar player that comes from like more acoustic nylon string side is a little bit more like disciplined, because
dynamic too.
Dynamic. I started playing on nylon string, and then I played it for like 2.5, 3 years, and my dad bought home a Strat.
Fuck. That's awesome.
He's always had a Strat, but he bought like a purple Strat for me.
You still have it?
No, we sold it a while back, but his personal Strat, so his personal Stratocaster is the one that I'm using right now, but I modified the shit out of it.
With the red pickguard?
Yeah, it's been around. Dope. It's been around for like 25 years. I started playing nylon and then got into Stratocaster, and then I started realizing that with electric guitars you can play power chords, and power chords are fucking sick. And then that became my new guilty pleasure, because I'm like, holy shit, like power chords over fucking finger picking fucking Baroque music from the 1600s, you know?
Was there a specific band or like a specific song that you remember? Because like for me, dude, I remember there was a moment. I was like 8 or 9 years old. I was at a Denny's diner with my family, and the jukebox was playing this fucking song, and it was a chorus, and all these weird guitar sounds were happening. And I was just first getting into wanting to learn how to play guitar and stuff. And I remember when I looked it up, I scribbled it on a napkin, and then I took it home to download it on Kazaa. It was Unchained by Van Halen. And like,
oh my God.
In hindsight now, I'm like, yeah, what a fucking riff, what a solo, the whole like, you know, come on, Dave, give me a break. That whole middle section of cheekiness and stuff. I was like,
it's beautiful.
That's one of those moments that I remember that sticks out as like, this is where I fell in love with rock guitar.
Right.
Was there one of those for you?
Yeah, there is. Iron Man, Black Sabbath.
Yeah, dude.
That was like a huge one for me because I'm like, holy crap! Like you can sound huge and cool as fuck with just power chords.
Yeah.
Are you trying to tell me like I don't have to use all this extra finger, just hold a pick and fucking two
Just
notes?
these two, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like you're a god. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What are some like I don't want to say lighter, but like, so you mentioned Backstreet Boys and Sync. I've never liked the term guilty pleasure.
I don't either.
I don't want to be guilty about it. Like, dog, your boy sincerely and wholeheartedly loves One Direction and 5 Seconds of Summer. Pop music is short for popular first and foremost, but like, you give me a good chorus and a snappy snare drum, and
exactly.
I'm in. I'm sold.
Oh, also another thing, dude. Like, while I was busy learning shredding guitars and learning all this like metal stuff, my mom and dad always plays blues and pop music at home. Madonna, Sade. I listen to Sade for breakfast, and then I'm gonna go to my room and learn fucking
Archangel or some shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Arch Enemy is what I say.
Yeah, Arch Enemy, exactly. No, 1000%, dude.
See, that's cool that you were able to approach it without judgment, because 17-year-old me, 16-year-old me that was learning how to play guitar couldn't enjoy Backstreet Boys. Whereas now, you give me a nice pop tune to stretch across. And
right. Hell yeah.
I have room to do shit, room to take my time and decide how I want to speak,
right,
the kind of phrases I want to get
Love
across.
That, yeah.
The ESP behind you, though, is that your main one?
You mean like main guitar?
That was your main one for a while, but it seems like you enjoy the Strat a lot more now.
Yeah, 1000%. Yeah, it was my baby for a while. I had like DiMarzio pickups in it. Like, by the way, the DiMarzio guys are like families to me. Christiana DiMarzio,
dope.
Larry DiMarzio, and Gabi DiMarzio. They are absolutely incredible human beings to me. And then around like 2017, my dad handed me his Strat.
Oh, dude.
And the Strat with a tortoise pickguard was essentially an Eric Clapton custom shop Strat. Because he was like, he fucking loved Eric Clapton. Like, told you, right? He wanted like a black Strat, white pickguard.
White pickguard, yeah.
Like just gorgeous, classy, like a Rolex of folk guitars. You know?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
And he kind of like don't really play as much anymore. And 2017, he gave it to me. It's like, yeah, you can have it.
Oh, that's awesome. And I'm sure it holds a completely different importance because it's not just a guitar, it's your dad's guitar.
Yeah, 1000%. And also, when he custom shopped that guitar is when I was a kid. Me and my dad always have like the same finger, the same hand size.
Sure.
The same palm size and everything. And in a way, I feel just the fact that it was fully customized up to the palm size, the fret size, like the neck size and everything, it always feels like home to my fingers.
Dude, that's so sweet. Talk to me about the feeling of receiving the guitar from your dad and then looking at it and be like, all right, cool. This is nice. White pickguard, stock stuff. If I'm gonna use this, I'm gonna hot rod this motherfucker a little bit. Like,
yeah, exactly.
And then transforming it from this thing that surely, like, because you grew up looking at that thing on the wall or something like that, I would assume, right?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
That's your dad's fucking lightsaber.
Right. When he gave it to me, it was super stock, like Fender custom shop, and I start modifying the shit out of it. I called DiMarzio and they sent me a few pickups. Like, we kind of like back and forth a few times because I was like, I need noiseless pickups. Like,
right.
You know how Strats are so fucking like,
super noisy. Yeah.
Like, it could get like it's like a fucking Karen status where it's just like fucking just talk shit all the time, like in between just because of the noise. Found the right tone, and I've always been a fan of like black and red color.
Yeah.
And had changed the white pick guards to like the red tortoise pick guards, and changed like locking tuners. I blocked the bridge with a piece of wood.
Nice, same.
Yes.
I met you through a mutual friend of ours, a good friend of mine, Mr. Charlie Cosser.
Charlie.
So Charlie was in the band and they were conducting auditions through MI looking for guitar players. They ended up going with somebody else, but through that, Charlie and I started a friendship. And years and years and years later, he started another project called Meen Streets, which is like pop music is just such an inadequate descriptor. It feels like 80s new wavy, but then there's like cool guitar shit.
Right, very tongue in cheek, very
like not
quirky,
take it very cheeky, but it's a kind of guitar that is super foreign to me in that like I grew up on Guns N' Roses, Alice in Chains, the kind of guitar where it's like the meat and potatoes of the music is distorted guitar. And when I listen to the Meen Street stuff, a lot of the time it's you doing cool textural, like single note line stuff, sparse type delay shit. I have a couple of tunes written down. Playboys of the Western World.
Yeah.
She don't want no playboys of the Western world. She's a different girl, no one can buy her love. She's a class above the playboys of the Western world. She's a different girl, she is a class above.
This music, it's you, Charlie, and Jarvis, right?
Jarvis, yeah. He is this dude that a genius producer, genius songwriter. He just starts like fucking around the kick drum, and I'm just like, oh shit, what's the chord again? And Charlie starts singing like, oh, like, and the next thing you know, like a song just happened.
Yeah. Mr. Jarvis Anderson, shout out to Mr. Jarvis Anderson. So he was in another band prior to Meen Streets called Igloo and Hartley.
Igloo and Hartley, they just released a single, cooler, incredible song after like 10 years.
Dude, so I was going to say, like,
yeah.
years and years back, they had a song placed on an NBA 2K video game soundtrack.
I didn't fucking know that.
Dude,
wow.
It was like NBA 2K10, I think it was 2K10, because off the top of my head, that was my favorite one. It had like Kobe on the front cover, and then like the main ad, they used Don't Sweat the Technique by Eric B. and Rakim. It's like my favorite hip hop song. Anyways, Igloo and Hartley, Jarvis's band, had a song on that soundtrack called In This City. And
that's a big one.
Huge, dude. And like for me and my group of friends from Riverside, California, that became like we're gonna be drinking in the backyard, and like it's 1:30 a.m. and this is the fucking this is the anthem that finally gets the neighbors to call the cops on us. And I got a friend who at his wedding, like when that song came on the dance floor, it like shut shit down. And it was very, very nostalgic. And then when I found out that you and Charlie were working in a band with Jarvis, I'm like, just all these different, intersections.
It's insane. It's just stupidly insane.
Small world.
Charlie and I met at least a year and a half before we even in Meen Street, before we start writing music, because Charlie is from Australia. I'm from Malaysia. We love rugby. I used to play for like a year and a half until I broke my nose. And then my dad was like, are you a fucking dumbass? Like, I want you to be a pilot. And then you start playing guitar. And then you start breaking your nose playing rugby. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
That's funny.
I start playing a lot in West Hollywood. It's not like tackle, it's touch. So it's cleaner, it's safer, just to Sunday activities,
Yeah, get active and meet people. And
when they met homeboy Charlie, and Charlie was wearing his old band shirt, Charming Liars, with like this axe.
I have the shirt in my drawer. Yes.
So I'm like, is this a hardcore dude? Like is this like another scene kid? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we start getting to know each other, and I'm always like, he's definitely a scene kid, but he knows that I'm a musician. I know that he's not a scene kid, but he was in a band, he was touring. That's how you guys know each other and stuff. And he hit me up saying, I have this project, Meen Street. It's just like this 80s pop project, and we want some like cool guitar, and do you want to come and jam? They just played me the songs. I just like play on top of it, just improvise. And I guess we all clicked. And I think that one day I went to the studio, literally changed my whole fucking life,
dude.
In terms of my creativity, in terms of how I view guitar playing, how I view friendship.
Dude.
Like this project made me realize that fuck, I have an opportunity to not shred. I just have like play power chords, fucking turn on my reverb pedal and delay pedal and chorus and just sound big and just be cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that whole project was me realizing I don't know if it's right to say this, but the sexy part of guitar playing.
Dude.
Now I can finally put my guitar like 2 feet lower and just play one chord, you know what I mean? And not worry about like playing a Zach Wild lick out of nowhere.
See, I think what you are describing is something that like all of my favorite guitar player friends and I have all gone through, which is like, and I think is necessary, I think, to really achieve the kind of greatness that I think you and I have in our brains of like this ideal that we want to achieve, right? But like you have to be studious enough to a point to have a control of the instrument and to make it do what you want to do. And even in that way, I am nowhere near. I don't know my triads.
Oh, y'all look alike.
I don't know all of my scales and all of my positions, all that kind of stuff. I need to sit down and do much more actual study homework.
But dude, sorry to interrupt. You have incredible ears, and that's what fucking matters.
And for me now, and I think you would agree with this largely too, is like, I don't care what genre it is or how much distortion or fuzz is on a guitar, whatever it is. If it makes me groove, if it makes me dance and want to just
hell yeah,
just make the gross face,
right?
Then I'm in. I don't care what it is, you know. And that sex part of it too. I want I want to bring it into tie this into the Geo Metro Party. So this is a party, a phenomenon, an experience. An enigma, if you will, known as the Geo Metro Party.
The Geo Metro vibe, it's way bigger than just Meen Streets.
It's the party of your dreams. Just waking up half naked with maybe 2 girls and 2 boys in your bed.
It just is so fun is the only adjective that I can describe. Like you got your leopard print like denim vest and hat on and like
right. Hell yeah.
And like you say, like, you know, 2 notches lower in the strap. Is it uncomfortable? Yes. Does it look tight as fuck? Fuck yes.
Fuck yes.
And like, is it worth? Like, I don't care if I hit the notes right anymore. I want to look cool doing this thing. This is our chance. This is our moment to wear our superhero costume. Be like, look, bitch, this is what I do, right? And
yeah,
I had so much fun going to these fucking warehouse parties and seeing you guys just fully and 100% devote yourselves to the energy, like all in energy. That goes for the music videos. That goes for like any of like the internet content that you guys do together. Like it's 100% authentic, you guys, and I love that so much.
Thank you,
dude.
It turns me on so much. We kind of sort of want to avoid like the more traditional way of like, oh, come to our gig. A million bands have done that, and also believe me, like, yes, it's fun to do that in LA to see that, but it's also fucking annoying because when you say come and watch my band, guess what? You have to buy the tickets, you have to buy a drink at the bar, you have to buy parking, and then you only see that band for like 30-45 minutes the most, and then it's like, oh, what's going on next? And then some fans would be like, I guess I'll go home. Or if it's friends, we'd be like, yeah, let's go grab a drink at the bar and then spend more money. So we were like, let's just try to do our own thing instead of playing normal gigs. We would tell people like, hey, come to our party. So the first couple of things we did was hit up local bars and be like, yo, we want your Friday night slot. We just have a DJ. We have a little band that will play like 3 songs max. And then it would turn into a dance party. November 2017 at a bar called Girl at the White Horse in East Hollywood. It's in people's nature to be like, oh, I'll go to a party, because when it comes to a party, there is no genre. Everybody loves parties.
Right.
There's no like, oh, your band is a metal band. I love you, but metal is not really my thing. Oh, your band is a techno band. I love you, but techno is not my thing. So you skip all that and you're like, come to my party.
Yeah, well, it doesn't feel like an ask either. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
asking you. Like, I've never, like, my friends that are watching this will know this. Like, I've had friends get mad at me because I don't invite them to shit. I'm like, listen, it's not that I don't want you there, but like, I don't want to feel like I'm inconveniencing you by making you spend the money on parking, the time to drive to get there. Wait, is it this place or that place? Like all that kind of shit. I didn't realize that it was as intentional as like, no, fuck this. We're doing our own thing.
Yeah.
It's fucking brilliant.
You've known Charlie really well. Like he everywhere he goes, if he's in a room, that room is the best fucking room to be.
Yeah, that's my boy.
He wants to always encapsulate that Charlie good times feeling wherever he goes, you know. And I fucking love that everything he does in life always have to like feel good.
Yeah.
So that's how like the party pretty much started. We don't have like a proper marketing plan, but we do know one thing: we love to laugh our ass off while doing this shit. We just want to have fun. We don't know what the fuck we're doing.
The last Geo Metro was something to behold. It was an expression of love. It was a symbol of unity. I also heard there was a threesome in the bathroom.
We just decided that we want a warehouse. And then that is when the whole idea of like, yeah, this whole party is the Geo Metro Party. And basically, we did what we wanted to do was basically like Wayne's World.
Yeah.
Let's create the planet for Meen Streets.
Dude.
Because our music is so quirky, our music is so tongue-in-cheek. It's so like, it could be funny to some people, it could be super badass to some people. It's just so, it's weird.
This weird group of dudes that does this quirky tongue-in-cheek thing, and then like it all contextualizes the other shit, right? Like the fact that you turn your chorus pedal up to like 100% for this part is part of the cheekiness of like a...
I know specifically I will turn into a tiger during a threesome, and that's my dream. I just want to make my country proud.
You sure as hell know how to throw a good party.
And that ties into the sexual panther type, the sexual leopard. It was a leopard, right? Was the animal? Was it a leopard or a panther?
Right.
It was a leopard, right?
Oh no, the animal is actually a tiger. It was a tiger.
It was a tiger. It was some kind of large big game animal.
Embracing Southeast Asia, fucking tiger.
Absolutely. Do they still have wild tigers in Malaysia? Like tigers in the wild in Malaysia, in the jungles and shit?
Yes, there's a lot. Like, yeah, it's crazy to think about. Like, tigers are the greatest animals ever built. Like, oh, did I say that correct? Like, ever built?
I mean, yeah, we can pretend there's a god that he built them.
As if like that's a god putting like Lego all over. Like, oh, here's a tiger. Fuck.
I mean, I think about if there is a god and that like all these organisms were designed, first and foremost, humans are clearly a prototype. You mean to tell me that the same hole that pee comes out of is the same hole that like my future babies are supposed to come out of too? Design-wise, construction-wise, architecturally, it feels like a mistake. Howdy, folks. I know that Valentine's Day has recently passed us by, but if you ask me, romance is a dessert that we should be enjoying all year long. And what's the best way to show your partner how much you care about them? Why, of course, it's a present for yourself disguised as a present for them, but even though it's because it's for you, but like, oh, you'll enjoy this too sometimes. Fresh, dry testicles. Enter the good people at Fremunda and their collection of fantastically fragrant body powders that are made right here in the USA with 100% natural ingredients and no animal testing. And with each purchase, Fremunda donates a portion of all profits to organizations that support men's health. The wonderful gentlemen at Fremunda were kind enough to send me the entire lineup, and lately I've been using the Atonement formula, which is peppermint and tea tree. And this is fucking fantastic, man. It's like taking your dick snowboarding. I live in California, so I've had kind of limited options, limited opportunities in terms of being able to thrust my penis deep into a snowman doggy style. And what I'm saying is right now you too can experience the same kind of general exhilaration as I am when you go to Fremunda.com and use the promo code DOJO for 15% off of your entire order. Head to Fremunda.com, that's FROMONDA.com, and use the promo code DOJO, D-O-J-O, for 15% off of your entire order. Stay clean, stay focused, get sensual with someone else, preferably, but probably with yourself because things are lonely right now. That's a weird way to end it. Okay. So do you think that there's actually tigers running around in the jungle right now in Malaysia? Because I remember my dad used to tell me, he lived in like the sticks in Thailand. He didn't live in Bangkok. He lived in like a province that was like more, like they were like shrimp farmers, I think his family was. And he would tell me stories about how he would like row a boat to school and he'd see like crocodiles in the river every now and then. And I always just kind of assumed he was bullshitting. But then I looked into it and I'm like, oh no, this is real. I think they actually might exist. All right, while I was editing this, I said to myself, okay, let's do some homework and see if we can verify Dad's claims of crocodilia. And I could not verify that crocodiles actually live in that river, but what I did find was extremely unexpected. You ready for this? Mysterious penis-shaped dolphins. Yeah, humans top of the food chain. There's no way. Like, without guns and metal objects that I can use as weapons, if a tiger comes at me in the wild, I'm super fucked. You're super fucked.
You're fucked. And the worst thing about tiger is they're carnivores.
Oh yeah, you're gonna die slow.
Like in Malaysia, there's a thing where I'm from. There's a lot of rubber tree.
Okay.
Because rubber farming is huge over there. We built tires, fucking condoms. 6 a.m., 7 a.m. There's all these dudes. They are called rubber tapper, who would just like scrape every single tree in the farm, and basically put a little bucket just so the tree could come rubber, like liquid rubber, and that is how rubber is made. Okay. Rubber is essentially like it's just this white liquid. It's kind of like a glue.
Okay.
Here's the thing. With tigers, you cannot turn your back on them. My dad would tell me, and my dad's friend, like some ranger, some forest ranger would tell him, like, a lot of those rubber tappers, every time they go rubber tapping, they would wear a uniform that their back is pretty much like a costume that looks like a human too.
Oh, like a face, like looking out.
Like a face. Yeah, exactly. And at the back of a tiger, like the tiger's like fur patterns, at the back of their head, it looks like two eyes.
Oh, because the ears are white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if another predator would look at a tiger from the back, the predator would be like, "Oh my god, is that thing looking at me?"
Yeah, fuck.
Every 6 months you would hear like 1 or 2 cases, like, oh, one dude got his face ripped off.
I think love is an abstract thing. It's like looking at waterfalls. Sometimes it's cool, but sometimes it's just very, very wet and annoying.
How did you guys find the Geo Metro for the title Geo Metro vehicle for the party?
Jarvis found a car on Craigslist for like, I think $500-600.
Does it run? It doesn't have an engine in it, does it?
So when he bought it, it runs, and then we had to like gut the shit out of the car just so we can cut it in 4 pieces, just so we can like
take it places.
Take it to like some weird fucking places.
So you guys would put the car in the middle of the warehouse, whatever it is, and then like, you know, set up the party around it. And then the party would be half dance party with a DJ playing the hits, and then half like musical performances. Can you imagine what the next Geo, like the first Geo post-COVID will be like? Like, fuck off. I'm overjoyed at the concept of getting together with 200 other strangers in some...
with good music.
With great music in some weird neon clothing. Here's the fun part too, is I don't think you guys ever like explicitly marketed it as like, it's an 80s party. We're not that old. Like, I wasn't alive for the fucking 80s. But it has that ethos, this energy of like, wear something neon and loud, and it doesn't matter if you look dumb or dorky, go have fun. It's going to be a group of people in this warehouse sharing in this energy, this thing we're building together.
I appreciate you saying we never try to like pigeonhole what the party is. It's not like, it's never a theme. Like, it's more of that feeling of like, oh, you wake up on Friday night, you know Geo is gonna be tonight, so you look forward to like thinking, oh, what you're gonna wear.
Yeah.
Like, who are you gonna meet? Who are you gonna fucking kiss? You know, like, who are you gonna make out with? What's gonna happen? So Meen Streets created that party, and then it becomes this like platform of expression, of freedom. Like, okay, let me ask you.
Sure.
What is your favorite like early 2000s pop band? Are you a Backstreet Boys or an NSYNC kind of dude?
See, there's such little distinction for me between the two, which seems blasphemous, but the reason being, like, when that shit was popular, so that would have been like 5th grade for me, I just lumped them into the category of boy bands. So like, even to this day, there's certain hits and stuff where I'm like, I don't know if this is this band or that band. Off the top of my head, I think the majority of the singles that I like more are NSYNC.
Okay, cool. Do you know that feeling when like having a drink with some friends, like, cool, music is great, and then suddenly if you hear NSYNC, like the mood changes.
Oh yeah, it's game time. It's a whole nother
thing. Oh fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
It's like fucking party time. Let's dance. Like, where the girls at, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we kind of always want to try to bring back that feeling at a
Yes.
party that makes you feel like that for 5 hours straight.
Yeah.
Nobody's there trying to like fight or be
too
more
cool.
alpha than each other.
Yeah, there was none of that. That's the aspect of going out in LA that I never really enjoyed.
I understand that. A lot of people in LA, people think they have to play this persona that they're bigger than what they are.
Yes.
It's weird that coolness in LA means fucking appear arrogant.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
Ever since I made a conscious decision to lean into all of my inadequacies and like the parts of myself that are embarrassing and lame and just
Right.
putting that shit on display as opposed to pretend, like the whole concept of dumb dojo, my bed is right. I'm touching my bed right now. It's not on screen, but
Amazing.
my fingers
I
are
love
touching
it.
my bed, right? The whole concept is like, yeah, I'm in my bedroom. This is super low production, but like whatever I can do to jazz it up and like, yes, while I'm in the confines of this thing, what can I do with it, right? Like, how can I make it the best
Right.
version of it?
Right.
But still not pretending like it's anything besides me talking to my friend on Zoom whilst touching my queen bed that doesn't have a bed
Right.
frame. I can see my old dog's piss stains. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what it is.
I was just really happy just seeing people being able to be in a safe space to express themselves musically, sexually, personality, everything wise. As long as you're not a dick, as long as you're there not,
You're not
to
hurting
hurt
anybody else.
and not to hurt anyone physically and emotional wise, that's your home. And
Yeah.
that is to me like the ultimate happiness of just content, very content feeling, very like just stillness and happiness of doing whatever we can do at our own pace of time, because we will be rewarded when the time is right. And before that, we love smiling with our close friends and people that understand each other.
Yeah.
That's what matters. Yeah.
My favorite song that you guys do is, I don't know if it's what the actual title is, but the chorus is something to the effect of like behind the scenes, between the sheets.
Yeah, behind the scenes. I feel that song, out of a lot of Meen Streets song, that song has a lot of like a very huge punk energy. It feels like very much like, holy shit, I just want to punch somebody in a mosh
There
pit
is a
kind of song.
headbanger kind of groove to it. Like
Right?
maybe it's the tempo, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's the
Like,
tempo, is the chorus, is the bass line behind it. There's no guitar solo, there's no proper riff. I'm actually just doing, it's like a repetitive motion of something I play in the pentatonic as the riff. So I'm giving space to the bass and to the synth to do its thing. So guitar is not even a big thing of that. And yeah, that is a very, very special song. It's sexy, and yet it's so punk. I really, really, really had to take a lot of things out of my head of what I view what guitar playing were.
Yeah.
So it becomes like, how can I play like fucking Keith Richards? Just super like, super sexy, super just really complimenting
Sparse.
the song,
Yeah,
super
yeah, yeah.
sparse. We don't want this to be a per se a rock band with like a huge guitar thing, but the guitar persona is big.
Yeah.
Do you ever see like some Van Halen song like Jump?
Yeah.
Jump have like insane guitar solo, but most of the time like the song
Most of
is
the song's
full-on, like-
keyboards.
yeah, it's a synth song.
Yeah.
And how Van Halen, the most incredible guitar player ever,
Yeah.
decides to not do anything on a song and just play
Right.
solo. And Charlie had the same approach. Charlie was like, I want a Van Halen for Meen Streets, a dude that could do crazy things but don't actually really do that.
Right. See, that discipline, and I wrote down here, I wrote it down for something different, but I think it also ties into that. The restraint to not do I mean, even for me, says the guy wearing multiple accessories right now, but like to not wear every piece of jewelry that you own all at once, right? Like the restraint to not shred on every single song when you don't have to, you know what I mean? Or like shredding might be the fastest and flashiest thing you can do there, but it won't be the coolest, because the coolest thing to do is just to skank on the chords, you know what I mean? Or like just to keep a rhythm, like follow the bass line, whatever it is. And you guys fucking nailed that in Meen Streets. But what I had that written down for in terms of Restraint was another project that you're doing right now.
Yeah, the band is called Dollars.
It's heavy and punk and synthy. But there's definitely still guitar there, and guitar is a large part of what it's like, down-tuned.
Yeah.
But I had written down Restraint because I'm like, bro, as a guitar player, I hear so much space that I would just ruin with stuff that I know that you had to consciously be like, cool.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna do that here.
With this new Dollars project, I'm gonna try to like encapsulate maybe not too much of a guitar playing, maybe more of like a synth writing, and then maybe the synth can like dictate the guitar parts. I've kind of let go of the idea of achieving technicality, I think about 5 years ago. After I met one of my biggest idol, Rafael Morera.
Oh, he's the man.
Yeah.
Did you meet him at Lucky Strike? I see him play at Lucky Strike.
Not Lucky
his band
Strike.
every now and then.
This is way before Lucky Strike. He was doing a jam at Three Cloves or something on Vine.
Familiar.
He would just play a bunch of like cool covers. Like, oh, I'm going to play Black Sabbath. I'm going to play Beatles. I'm going to play Rolling Stones. And every single song he treated like a jazz jam, where he will play the song, and then in the middle there'll be just like some open soloing, open improvisation, right? I went for a guitar lesson with him, and we started like, he was like, what do you want to learn? And I'm like, I don't know what do I want to learn, but I'm kind of unhappy with my guitar playing because for years I've been like a very technical dude. I want to be able to play like you, just free flow, listen to the music, compliment the music. And the first thing he asked me, like, all right, when you go to a bar, do you dance or you just sit at a bar and just do nothing?
Right.
And I'm like, holy fuck, like, what is he trying to do? Like, fuck, dude, I pay for a guitar lesson. Why you
what is this Miyagi shit?
Yeah, I know. And then he's like, first of all, in order to like fully practice Restraint, in order to be very disciplined, you need to be very expressive. He was like, yeah, if you can't express yourself, how can you restrain yourself?
Interesting.
You kind of don't know where you stand. He was like telling me like, hey, you're at that age, like you're 25, 24, go and party, go and have fun, go and dance, go and express yourself. By just the fact that you know how to express yourself, your playing becomes better.
Sure.
You'll be able to listen to the music because you're dancing, you're grooving a little
You're
bit
responding
more.
to it as opposed to just like,
Exactly.
what am I supposed to play here? Yeah.
Exactly. And then that whole concept became my new life goal with the guitar. Instead of chasing how do I play a Yngwie Malmsteen lick, no matter how much I fucking practice, I'm never gonna be able to like fucking play like Malmsteen.
Right.
But also at the same time, I love just fucking dancing on Madonna song and Backstreet Boys.
Yeah, I mean, I infinitely prefer that.
Right?
I would prefer to put the energy in like, how do I best execute the Madonna version of me?
Exactly.
Than the Yngwie Malmsteen version of me. If I put energy into like, how do I learn my arpeggios and do the thing? Like, first and foremost, that doesn't make me excited. But if that's the thing that you want, you got to go to somebody else for that.
Exactly.
Now, there's a whole nother world of style of music, which I'm relating to you on, of like stuff that makes you want to dance and groove and have a good time.
1,000%.
And expressing yourself and maximizing what we do with the six strings in that context is super different and takes just as much time to figure out like, all right, cool. Are quarter notes better or half notes? Like when we're doing stabs, what kind of a stab is appropriate?
Exactly.
Or is it the downstroke versus an upstroke? Like that's the kind of studious homework that I'm now willing to do to figure out how do I express myself and get the most out of myself in those contexts, which make me happier than like, let me sit down and learn this. like you said, this lick or something like that.
And it feels much better because you start to let go of unrealistic goals with music and guitar, and then you start respecting other people a lot more. You start not bashing. You start, at least for me, I feel like once I let go of that, once I learn from Rough Emerald, I start not judging people. I start not judging people that are crazy into jazz. I don't judge like insanely good shredders, and I start realizing and embracing different music cultures.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, it's fucking incredible. It's the whole reason why we want to do music.
Creative people, I feel like we got some shit inside of us that just has to get out. We're both guitar players, but there's other ways in which we can use creativity
100%.
to convey different messages and to get different stories across. And another way that you do that is through photography and this alter ego that you've got called Dance Floor Murder.
dancefloormurder.com website. I mean, ever since I was a kid, my dad always have like film cameras. Vacation, my dad's a pilot again. Like we would go everywhere, and then he would bring his camera and he would just snap everything. And I've always like, oh, Dad, I want to snap too. Like he would give it to me, and I've always liked the idea of like being able to freeze memories. In 2015, I became really good friends with a huge photographer, Aidan Klemenko. So I went to Yosemite with him, hang out, and he teach me a lot about photography. And I'm like, well, fuck me, his life is fucking great. Like everywhere he goes, he has his camera. I start knowing another friend, which is Latin America's finest photographer, Jose Vergara. He shot one of my old band's music video, and we became really good friends. And then suddenly two of my best friends are just incredible photographers. And I just, every time we hang out, they always bring their cameras, and then we were just having dinner, having lunch, anywhere we go, like snapping. And I'm like, fuck, this is fucking great. And I got a deal to buy a cheap Sony camera for like $350 with a lens, another $100. So like under $500, I got a decent beginner DSLR camera. And Charlie is like, yo, you have your camera, right? Can you just like snap some photos at the party? And I'm like,
dude, I mean, that's how I remember it starting.
I owe a lot to Charlie in terms of him always telling me like, Raz, take this photo, take that photo. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but snap.
Yeah.
And that's how I fell in love with the art of party photography.
Dude, I was just going to say, you've done such a great job at capturing like the energy and the emotion and people are tired of hearing me say this word too, but momentum and like the urgency of that party. Like you never, let's be clear, you never feel unsafe at one of these gatherings, but like there's just this like, oh man, you're waiting for some shit to pop off.
What's next?
Yeah, there's this anticipation of like, what's gonna happen next, and like the showmanship and the pageantry of like when you guys would do, you know, musical performances or like, you know, little bits and introductions and stuff here and there, and it was like, it's so cool to be a part of. And then when I see the pictures of like the pictures specifically from Geo, you feel like you're there. You feel you feel like the kind of sweatiness and the mild uncomfortability of being kind of maybe too close to this next person. But we're just all in this party, and it's this heightened awareness thing. You capture all of that, dude.
Thank you.
And in the same way that you succinctly capture all that like party energy shit, when you took your camera out to the protests that were happening,
same thing. You know, it's the same energy.
Summer, you capture the same emotion. You know what I mean? And I'm so enamored with that, dude. Like, so tell me about how did it progress from just you fucking around at the parties to like doing what you're doing now? People
start responding to me like, hey, I love the photos that you're doing. Can I have it? And then when I always send people private links on my Dropbox, like, oh, here's your photos from the party. And then from there, I start taking photography a bit more seriously in terms of like, oh, I want to have a better camera. I actually find myself actually really, really loving taking photos. I've always wanted to like portray my photos, but not under the name Raz. It's just like this, one of my
separate identity, separate person. It's a different superhero.
Charlie and I love this singer called Sophie Alice Baxter from London.
Okay.
And she have a song called Murder on the Dance Floor.
Nice.
So I've always had this like weird alter ego of like, oh, I'm a party dude that takes photos on the dance floor. So I'm like dance floor murder. So dance floor murder became a thing. It's my photography outlet, and I start taking a little bit more of like people's photos out there and stuff. And then the protests happen, the George Floyd BLM protests start happening all over the country, and then I knew about the LA one, and I have like a couple of friends who's like in some independent news outlet. Reckless Magazine is one of them, who's like, oh, I know about this protest and stuff, blah, blah. Are you going to go and shoot? We would like to do a write-up about you. And I was like,
oh, shit.
First of all, I'm scared to go out because of COVID. So I was ingrained in my brain. I was like, yes, this fucking pandemic is fucking dangerous. And then suddenly thousands of people went out to protest. And then at the same time, I started having FOMO. Not even don't get to capture this FOMO of like experiencing what's the right thing to happen in America, what's like fighting for the lives of your black friends, black families, like everything, you know?
Absolutely.
I remember that was happening, I think, the first week of June, and this one morning I got up and I got a text saying a protest in West Hollywood starting at 11:30 a.m. in Penn Pacific Park. And I saw my phone and I'm like, fuck, like I plan to kind of get coffee and just be lazy all day, but I'm like, fuck this. I hope my battery's charged. Check my camera, 2 batteries charged, bring 1 lens, stop by Home Depot to buy like goggles,
the safety goggles,
safety goggles, and obviously my mask and everything. Went there and then start shooting the protest, and then when we reach Fairfax, like it started getting a little bit rowdy, and one of the cop car was burned, and I went pretty close to it because I'm like, I mean, being a musician, we're always so like, just want to be in the moment. Whenever
you want to be there.
Whenever you see your favorite guitar player play in Wiltern or something, you're like, your eyes glued to it. You don't give a fuck about anything else, right? I was pretty close to the car. It was burned. There's nobody really around. Everyone's like far out. And then this dude came to me like, fucking run. And apparently there's like 2-3 cops was just like going straight to me because I was right by the car.
Oh my God.
So I was like, I snapped a couple photos. I think I did snap. I don't know. And then I start running away. I start going north on Fairfax. So I was like, that was like the universe telling me, it's like, hey, go home. You know, like, so I went back home, and then I went to a couple more protests. I think like 3 more after that in downtown and a few other places. And I think that pretty much like the new universe is telling me like, hey, yes, there's pandemic outside, but if you don't go keep shooting, if you don't keep doing creative stuff, you're going to go fucking crazy.
Did the enjoyment come out of like the novicehood of the thing? Because for me, like learning Premiere and learning all this video shit, the fact that I'm starting from full-on beginner mode, I don't enjoy sucking at a thing, but I do enjoy learning to be better at it.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, 1000%. With photography, it has been such a rewarding process just because I'm working with like different people. I'm like, obviously,
different people,
like
different environments, like different. You're trying to capture different emotions and stuff.
Exactly. And because of like the whole collaborative aspect of working with different people, I force myself to learn real quick because, oh my God, like I'm getting paid $200 for these photos, and this person kind of want this kind of style of photos mixed with my style. Like I kind of like, dude, you know it is when client pays you money, you don't want to like be a shithead and not do a good job, right?
Exactly right.
So I guess like the big aspect is that I think with Geo, when there's flash direct to people's face, a lot of people don't like it. A lot of people loved it because it's like very punk, very like 80s, 90s style.
Up front in your face.
Yeah, exactly. No soft light at all. And for me, it's like, yeah, that's just my style. I'm sorry. I always try to like say that I'm just a dude with a camera. I'm not really an intimidating photographer. You don't have to try to look extremely sexy with like your best side on my photos. I'm not that kind of photographer.
Also, those are my least favorite kind of pictures. Like, can we just put this out there publicly? Like, when you can tell that it's this like meticulously sculpted and chin up just a certain way. And like my favorite pictures of myself are not the ones where I'm like, and post.
Right,
It's where like
exactly.
I'm laughing because some shit's happening over there. Like, you know what I mean?
I feel like I became a better guitar player, more mature musician after I took photography more seriously. My creative output isn't focused on just one thing, which is music.
Right.
My creative heart's desires to take photos. I'm satisfied with taking photos and do music as well. So I'm less harder on myself musically. I feel like I can write better, I play better just because I don't judge myself. You get what I mean?
I understand what you're saying, but I have yet to realize that in my own life. Like I don't know if I've been doing this thing, the podcast and the video and that other creative vehicle enough to see how it's affecting the other stuff that I'm doing. But
I think in May, you may not realize it.
yeah, that's
in a way.
interesting, man. I do find myself before, like especially for Instagram or something like that, like if I was going to post something, I would want to make sure it was perfect. I'd take the time to like punch stuff in or comp stuff or like try to edit around stuff, whatever it is, because I wanted it to sound as good as it could. But then I got kind of to a place where I was like, I'll leave a flub or like an extra note or something, like a mess up, if I captured everything else, which is the emotion and like the tension and the heartache and the bend and all that kind of shit. You know what I mean? Like that stuff is more important to me. I can't edit that stuff. I can't punch in the emotion. You know, I can melodyne, whatever the fuck else. But that stuff became infinitely less important when I was like, did I get all the good parts? I got all the emotion. I got all of the meaningful parts. Cool, it's good.
Fuck yeah.
I think it's time for a subject change. I'll end up splicing this in at some point. Guitar heroes. So you mentioned Vi, and then you also mentioned Kirk Hammett. So who was first? Then what did it turn into? Who are some players now that you really dig?
I think that's quite a tough question because being a professional guitar player like me and you, we go through this whole circle of like liking a lot of like diverse shit. I personally owe a lot to Rafael Moreira.
Dude. Oh, so let's mention this. So I think where you know him from or where I know him from might be different places. It seems like you're more familiar with him from like his session guy Backstreet Boys stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
I know him from being the guitar player in the house band for all the Rockstar shows. So
holy shit, that's crazy.
There was like a reality show competition a couple years back, over 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
First it was with the Australian pop band In Excess, and then there was a second iteration of the show called Rockstar Supernova that was Tommy Lee, the drummer from Motley Crue, Gilby Clarke, the guitar player from Guns N' Roses, and Jason Newsted from Metallica. And they were looking for a singer. And I remember this very distinctly because that was 2006. I was 15 years old, and I watched that show religiously. A good friend of mine was a contestant on that show. Shout out to Mr. Toby Rand. How you got tonight? And I remember watching every week and being super just enthralled by just seeing rock music. And the guitar player in that house band was this badass Brazilian motherfucker. Just an ultimate shredder. And like, he has the motor skills to shred and do all sorts of crazy shit. But especially in a context where you're playing so many different songs and a lot of it is not necessarily pop, but like he's doing house band shit.
Right.
You can't do all shred all the time.
Right.
And then I'd always kind of just kept tabs on what he was doing. And then his band is called Magnetico.
Magnetico,
right?
yeah.
What a bad motherfucker. And also, so in addition to doing TV show stuff, he plays for, like you said, Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, Pink, all these people.
Right. It's weird because I fucking love Steve Vai, but I never see myself of like wanting to be like Steve Vai. You know what I mean? Like I fucking loved him. If there's one guitar player that I have absolutely loved so much beside Halfa has always been Robin Fink from Nine Inch Nails.
I gotta make you send me some homework.
Yeah, I will. It's the whole like, to me, Nine Inch Nails is like Meen Streets, textured stuff, very abstract guitar playing, and the whole restraining yourself to shred. On top of all that, I will always be a big fan of fucking Van Halen and Dimebag.
Hell yeah.
So those two goes hand in hand for me. It's just one thing about Van Halen that always warms my heart. Like 2 hours show, 3 hours show in the stadium. One thing he does consistently, which is smile.
Oh, absolutely. Top 5 concert memories for sure was it was short hair David Lee Roth, Wolfie on bass guitar on a blue
Wolfie, yeah.
Like a blue Van Halen striped guitar, and I remember just the nostalgia of all those moments of hearing Van Halen as a kid, trying to learn how to play it, failing miserably to duplicate the solos and all that kind of stuff, and then seeing it in front of me at Staples Center, and they had these
Holy
like blimps
shit.
and just the whole thing, dude. And Unchained isn't necessarily my favorite Van Halen song, but it's real high up there, and it might very well be my favorite.
Right.
But that whole, come on, Dave, give me, you're gonna get some legs tonight for sure.
Right.
And so they did all of that, you know, on stage live, and it was Dave and Wolfie going back and forth. And I remember it kicking in, you know, as a 17, 18-year-old, whatever it was, like, wow, man, this is really special. This is cool. And I'm so grateful to have gotten to see that live.
I think 5 guitar player that I could, and it's very personal question for me. I love this question because
as guitar players, it's like, who are the 5 that make you up? You know what I mean?
Right. It's Halfway Morera, it's Robin Fink. We talk about this, and then Van Halen, obviously. Dimebag is a baby to my heart.
Really?
Just because he's a fucking metal shreddy guitar player, but people
so bluesy still though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
1,000,000%. He is a blues god.
I mean, he's the if Stevie Ray was around still,
right?
And then somebody threw him some hairspray,
exactly, 1,000%.
That's Dimebag.
I kind of have to say Stevie Ray too, but one thing that I think out of all of these idols that connects me and my dad together for a really long time, it's not even Eric Clapton. It's Steve Lukather.
Oh, fuck yeah. I love him. I love Steve Lukather.
His licks, you see him, he doesn't have a pattern.
Yeah,
that's interesting. He just improvises and plays with the music.
Yeah, I can't think of Steve Lukather style licks.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if I say play some Steve Lukather style licks, you can't really do that.
You can't really do that. There's no such thing as a Lukather lick. There is, but not really.
You know what always gets me with him too is like anytime I've ever seen him play, I've seen him play live a handful of times, which has been the shit too. I saw he did something for it was like a Billy Gibbons birthday show or something like that. He was there, Billy Gibbons was there, Matt Sorum was playing drums.
Holy shit.
Slash showed up and stuff. Like all these people came and did like guest appearances and stuff. But I remember seeing him. He plays with such a little effort, or
Insane.
like rather not. I don't mean that. I said that sentence wrong. It looks like it's the easiest thing in the world for him to be expressing himself and doing all these interesting, unique rhythmic patterns and licks and stuff like that. And it looks like he's just fucking having a conversation, just talking.
Lukather is definitely a big idol because he is a dude that just loves to play with the music. And all he does is just have fun and play. And I love people like that. And that's why I love your playing too, because you're like,
oh, thanks, man.
You found your voice and you found your voice, you found your soul, and you found what you are musically with your voice, your singing voice and everything, and you stayed that way. And I think that's very, very important, and that makes me and a bunch of other people enjoy just the fact that you're just a dude that just love to have fun and play music and not trying to prove any other bullshit else. Yeah.
I'll say that like when I do something with an intention in mind, I want to be clear about the intention, right? Like, so when I post a guitar video or some shit like that, there is an underlying subtext of like, yo, I'm dope as fuck, and y'all know that, right? You know what I mean? Like, there's a small element of that.
Yeah.
But then there's also like, and the much larger chunk of that is like hey man, I'm having fun. I'm not taking myself too seriously. I'm going to put a lot of effort into the caption, which probably has nothing to do with the video that I'm posting, but like, I'm just goofing off. I'm having a good time. And here's a chunk of who I am. And what I've been hyper focused on, especially with this podcast, is like making sure that like the jokes and the content, the humor stuff, it all feels authentically me. You know what I mean? Like if you watch this and you spend an hour with me and my friend, I want you to leave having felt like you were sitting right next to us and eavesdropping on the conversation, you know? It's time for another subject change. The other segment that I typically close with is a segment that I call Put It On Wax, where the direct meaning is like to put it on the record, right? And stuff that you're working on, stuff like goals that you're setting for yourself, things that you want to accomplish in the short term or the long term.
I would say there are 3 different really important aspects of my life. Okay, like first of all, let's say with Geo, Geo has evolved from parties to female empowering skateboard company. That is one aspect that I want to grow for Geo to be a stable merchandise company. Whenever we can throw parties again, we'll talk about that when the time comes. With my photography thing, obviously, on top of loving doing photography, is I am 1,000,000% aching to be on the road to play for an artist. I'm done. No, I wouldn't say done. I don't want to sound that arrogant, but
I think I know where you're going with this.
I know my skill level. I know who I am. I am.
It's time to show the fucking world that we're fucking Jedi Knights, God.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I am looking for the next pop artist that I could play with. The next I don't know. Like, I want to play for fucking new pop acts. Troye Sivan, King Princess. Like, I want to play for all of them if I don't play for, like, the big pop acts like Madonna and, like, fucking Katy Perry. You know what I mean? Like, there are a bunch of, like, new cool pop acts. Like, my biggest dream in the world is to play for Nine Inch Nails, but I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
I think that's more reachable than you might think, though. I mean, if you're going to be in any city for it to be reachable, it's this one.
Hopefully, you know what I mean?
You combine your motor skills and your talent on the instrument, which, bro, I gotta say, you are the man, bro.
Thank you.
You are a monster of a fucking player. And I touched on this a little while ago. Every now and then I'll see you play some shit, and I'll set aside, like, I gotta set some time to learn how he's doing the lick. And it'll be, I'm talking about little things, like choosing to slide in with your ring finger as opposed to on your pointer finger.
Right.
And like stuff that you're not thinking about, stuff that I'm not thinking about, but it's like, okay, how is he executing the thing that he's doing? It's those small, minuscule little differences. But dude, from one player to another, you are the man.
Thank you.
And I very much so grossly appreciate your motor skills on the instrument. So you're a bad motherfucker, dude.
Much loved it. Thank you so much. I don't know, man. I mean, kind of makes me slightly emotional because whatever we do in life, we owe a lot to music and guitars, right? It's our savior in a lot of...
So much of it has been our identity. Dude. Growing up, we were the kids playing music. Like, Raz Powers the music kid. I mean, at least, I don't know, I won't speak for you, but like for me, I very much so relished in the identity of being the music kid growing up.
Same. Ever since I'm like really focusing on like guitar again and like having this like clear separation of what photography is, what music is, what Geo is with my buddies, you know? One thing I want to do is I want to focus on playing a lot again. So if you go to my Instagram, at least for the past few months, I start like putting out like videos of me playing guitar a lot again with music stuff. And I start with a Dollars project thing, not necessarily trying to focus on that band, but Dollars for me is more of just a huge healthy excuse for me to force myself to put music that I write.
Yeah.
So with that, it encapsulates the fact that, oh, I'm a musician at heart, guitar player at heart, that I still want to fucking play guitar to the rest of my life. I am ready to go back on stage. I'm performing.
Yeah.
Like you play in a band. I'm pretty sure you fucking miss touring. Once you get the adrenaline, you want that shit more than anything else.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, you want that fucking first chord out of like the fucking curtain drop at a fucking festival, right?
Absolutely. Oh god.
Yeah.
That's the exact thing, is like when the click is going in my ear and then like the drummer starts doing his fill and then like we all piece by piece start to come in and the crowd starts to murmur a little bit. When that starts to happen, when you feel that momentum start to rise, is a feeling that I miss desperately. And
is the best feeling in the world.
I mean, yes, that, but like it doesn't even have to be like a big festival show. Like those were the shit. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I loved that stuff and hopefully look forward to doing more of that shit in the future. But anywhere, like any time that I've ever had a chance to play, like in hindsight now that I haven't been on a stage in so long, I really didn't understand how much I would miss it. I would end up missing it because during the, like, if you cut back to 2017, 2018, whatever it is, the version of me that's going out to see these shows and to play at these jam nights or whatever it is, to be like out on the scene doing the LA touring musician thing, right, whatever that looks like, I fucking hated it. I resented it. No, I didn't want to be doing it a lot of the time. I was lazy. It didn't make me excited most nights. I was doing it because I felt like I had to.
Right.
And in many ways I did. And I don't necessarily regret doing it, but it's a completely different energy on the menu now.
You know
Like,
exactly what you want to satisfy you.
Today, yeah, sitting here with you, I do today, right? Like now when things open back up, what I will be looking forward to is reconnecting with my friends in that scene that I haven't seen in forever because of this pandemic bullshit.
Right.
Getting to actually jam with you, you know what I mean? Getting to actually exchange musical ideas with the friends and people who I look up to around me that for if it's laziness or if it's because I'm scared or I'm anxious, whatever the excuse is, for whatever reason, I wasn't pursuing those things. And I am more determined now than ever before.
Amazing.
Especially in hindsight because of this shit. That like when this shit is behind me, I'm going to have so much fun. So,
right.
Dude,
I agree.
I greatly appreciate you sitting down and talking with me about this bullshit. It has been really refreshing and reassuring to hear that, you know, you've gone through some similar shit that I've gone through. And I'm grateful for the city of Los Angeles for putting us two dirtbags together. And fuck, man, I will be so excited for the next time we get to hang out in person and get to see a show, play a show, jam properly. And that's the number one thing that I think has come from me doing this and trying to reach out to friends to like, yo, you want to do some podcast shit, has been coming to the understanding and the realization that like, yo, we're really not alone in this thing. If you're going through some shit, it's very likely that somebody that you know and love is going through some similar types of struggles. And dude, I'm fucking super stoked, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you, dude. Much love to you, man. Seriously, very grateful for this. I haven't felt this happy in a while just because I'm speaking to a fucking absolute of a legend and just being able to like chat with somebody. Tonight feels like we are on a night out at a cool bar somewhere and all we do is just drink and like chat for like 5 hours.
Definitely.
And I think that's fucking beautiful. Thank you. Appreciate it.
It would be nicer if we were sitting at some dive bar in West Hollywood and there was Motorhead in the background or something like that.
Right,
we couldn't hear each other. But that day is also rapidly approaching.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
I think that's it, man. I'm going to bust my ass to cut it together and try to edit in all this stuff.
Right.
Because that becomes a whole nother part of it too, is like me cutting together the conversation and then deciding like, cool, here's where I'm going to edit in a stupid picture, or like, hey dude, if you want any weapons right now, like here's where I'm gonna actually, just if I can ask, are there any weapons or any animals that you'd like to appear on screen to have at your side in important moments if you need?
I don't know. I like tigers.
Okay, so we'll throw some tigers in when we can throw some tigers in.
Yeah, fucking owls.
The one thing that I will ask is, so I have my every guest sign off with the catchphrase, if you wouldn't mind saying, "Don't be a dum-dum."
Don't be a dum-dum. You want me to do it again?
This is what you should expect at the next Geo Metro Party. Horniness, sexy vibe. There might even be a tiger.